Hi, now that we have solved one-step equations, let's move on to solving two-step equations. A quick review of solving one-step equations is we would draw a line right through the equal sign, such as this. And we would look at the variable and we would say, what's happening to the variable? And in this case, the a is our variable and we're subtracting 16. We always do the opposite and we do the same thing to both sides. So I would add 16 to both sides, and then the minus 16 plus 16 would end up adding to 0. And so A would be the left side of this problem. And I would take the right side and I would take 21 and add 16, which happens to be 37. So my final answer would be that A equals 37. Another example, I want to make sure that you understand that we always draw that straight line right through the equal sign. In this case, our variable happens to be B. What's happening to B? Well, in B, we're adding 12. So the opposite of adding is subtracting. And so we're going to subtract the 12. And what we do to one side, we do to both sides. So we're going to subtract the 12 from both sides. Because plus 12, the plus 12, hold on a second, the plus 12 and the minus 12 is 0. The left side will equal B, and then we say, what's negative 52? Minus 12, well, a negative and a negative. We add them together, we're going to get 65. And because they're both negative, our answer will be negative 65. So our final answer is B equals negative 65. You're welcome to use calculators. You're always, always, always welcome to use calculators. As we move on, a little bit more quick reminder here. Look at problem 3. We're going to draw that line right through the equal sign. And then we say, well, what's happening to the variable, which happens to be C? We're multiplying by negative 3. What's the opposite of negative 3? You're right, it's division. So we're going to take both sides and we're going to divide it by negative 3. And you are more than welcome to use your calculator. But 3 divided by negative 3 happens to be positive 1. 1 times C is C. On the right side, negative 15 divided by negative 3 is positive. Negative divided by negative is positive, and in this case, it's positive 5. So your final answers were C equals positive 5. And Miss Lala and I always liked it when you would circle your answers. Problem 4, read that problem. First thing we're going to do is draw a line right down the equal sign. And then we say, well, negative 8 equals D divided by 2. Remember that fraction bar right there means divide. So find your variable. The variable right here happens to be D. What are we doing to D? We're dividing it by 2. What's the opposite of dividing by 2? Well, multiplying by 2. So we're going to multiply both sides by 2. So I'm going to put times and then 2. And so on the right side, we have 2 divided by negative 2, which is 16. And a positive divided by a negative is negative. So the left side is negative 16. And then 2 divided by 2 is going to equal positive 1. And 1 times D is D. And so we can write our answer as either negative 16 equals D, or you can also say D equals negative 16. Those are the same. So that's just a little review on one-step equations. Let's talk about two-step equations. I have the steps written out for you. And the first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to draw a line right through that equal sign so that you can clearly see the left side and the right side. What we want to do is get the variable on one side by itself. So what's the variable? Well, in this case, the variable is going to be this 2x, and we want to get it by itself. So what's happening to that? Well, it says minus 7, 2x minus 7. What's the opposite of minus or subtract 7? The opposite of minus or subtract is add. So we are going to add 7 to both sides. When we add the 7, then minus 7 plus 7 is 0. So the right side is going to be, or left side is going to be 2x, and it equals, and 11 plus 7 is 18. The second part of the equation says solve for x. Well, what does that mean? Once again, look at that x. What are we doing to x? We're multiplying it by 2. What's the opposite of multiplying? You're right, it's dividing. So what we're going to do is divide both sides by 2. I'm going to circle the x so that you can clearly see it. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. So the left side's going to be x. And then what's 18 divided by 2? I think you know that that's 9. And if you don't, use a multiplication table chart, or feel free to use your calculator. Calculators are good. The last thing I really want you to do is to check your work. And so when we go to check our work, and I'm going to label this as the part where we're going to check. We did this way back when we were in school, and we would write the original problem, only instead of writing x, we'd leave a blank. So the original problem said 2x minus 7 equals 11. And if we thought our answer was 9, then right there where the blank is, we'd put 9. And then we would use the order of operations to see if this was true or false. Order of operations, we're going to multiply first. And so when we go to multiply, we're going to say that 18 minus 7. Does it equal 11? And if on your calculator you go 18 minus 7 and you see that it equals 11, because it does. Does 11 equal 11? You say true, it sure does. And so then you can go back up here and say yes. In this particular problem, x does equal 9. Let me show you another problem. If you have questions on any of these, you either email Miss Lala or you email myself, Miss Sherman. I'd love to help you. I miss seeing you every day. Okay, here's another problem. Notice that the steps on the left are the exact same. First thing we're going to do is get the variable on one side by itself. So let's draw a line. Whoops, I need to fix that. I apologize. And so let's draw a line right through the equal sign. And this time, and it doesn't matter, the variable's over here on the right. And the variable's 4x. Well, what's happening to 4x? It says plus 11. What's the opposite of adding or plus? It's minus. So we're going to go minus 11. And what we do to one side, we do to both. So on the left side, we have minus 13, negative 13 minus 11. They're both negative, so we'll add them together, which is 24. And a negative plus a negative is negative. So the left side is negative 24. You are more than welcome to use your calculator. The plus 11 minus 11 is 0. So this is the right side's going to equal 4x. So then in step 2, it says, hey, solve for x. Well, where is x? X is on the right side. There's x. What are we doing to x? Well, we're going 4 times x. And so what we're going to do, instead of 4 times x, we're going to do the opposite, which means divide by 4. When we divide by 4, we are going to find, just a second, I'm going to move that up just a little bit. we are going to find that on the left side, -4 divided by +4 is -6. And on the right side, 4 divided by 4 is 1, which is great because 1 times x is x. So once again, I want you to check your answer. And when we go to check our answer, I'm going to write the check over here. Just remind you how you can do it. We start with the original problem, which is -13, and it's going to equal 4 times whatever, and then plus 11. Notice instead of writing x, I wrote a place for us to put our answer in there. And in this case, we believe that that's -6. Well, is that true? I don't know. We need to do a little bit more solving. So if it is true, then when we work this problem, we're going to get -13. And on this side, order of operations, we multiply first. That's -24 plus 11. You're welcome to use a calculator if you want, but remember, if one's positive and one's negative, we subtract them. So 24 and 11, if we subtract them, we're going to get 13. And since the largest value, the largest absolute value is 24, and because it's negative, it's going to be -13. And so does -13 equal -13? And it's true, it sure does. And so what that means is we can come back up here and with confidence, we can say, yes, my answer is x is -6. So we're trying to solve for the variable. And sometimes the variable is going to be a letter, and the letter does represent a number. One more, and then I'll let you work away. Same exact procedure. I'm going to start by drawing that line, write down the equal sign. I'm going to find the variable. In this case, it's right here. It's d divided by 2. We want to get that by itself first. We always want to get that by itself first. And the problem right now is like, well, what's happening to that? Well, we're adding 12. So we want to do the opposite, and the opposite of add is subtract. So we're going to subtract the 12 from both sides. And on the left side, if you take 5 and subtract 12, you are definitely going to get -7. Use your calculator if you want. +12 minus 12 is 0, and so you're going to get d divided by 2. So now the second step is to solve for the variable. I said solve for x. I should have said solve for the variable. And in this case, the variable is d. Well, what's happening to d? Well, it says divide by 2. So the opposite of dividing is multiplying. So we're going to multiply both sides by 2 times 2. And I'm going to move it up just a little bit so you can see our work here. My work, I should say. And when we divide by the 2 times the -7 is going to be 14, and positive divided by negative is negative. Positive times negative is negative. And then 2 divided by 2 is going to be 1, and so d equals -14. Now, I've said a couple things wrong there, so I definitely think we should check our work here. I check my work a lot. I really do. I don't like being wrong, so I really try to make it right. And so in our case, we're going to start with the original problem. Here's 5, and it equals, and then we're going to have something, d, our variable, divided by 2 plus 12. And what we want to know is this going to be true or false? So I'm going to draw a line, and hopefully we're going to see that it's true. So instead of this blank space right here, you can see the thing going round and round. I'm going to put what I think is the answer, which is -14. And then I'm going to work the problem using the order of operations. And in our case, the order of operations, I'm going to do the dividing first, which is -7, and then I'm going to add the 12. Over here, we have the 5. So -7 plus 5. One's negative, one's positive. So I subtract them. and that is going to give me 5. Then the absolute value of the largest number is positive. 12 is the largest number, the absolute value of that. So it means the answer is going to be positive, and guess what? 5 does equal 5. This is true. And if this is true, then you know your final answer is correct. And so D equals negative 14. I want you to go to Canvas. I want you to select the little check for understanding, practice solving two-step equations. You can complete this many times. In fact, why don't we just say that you can complete this? I'm going to say that we can complete this 5 times, and I will give you your highest score. So if you mess up the first time, hey, try it again. Talk to me, talk to Ms. Lala. Email will help you. We'd love to help you. And so just keep in touch, practice. You're going to get good at these, and so you'll be ready for algebra next year. Miss you. See you soon. Thanks for all you do. Goodbye.